All right, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Um, 1 second, I'm gonna just go ahead and get started here so I don't delay you guys any longer. And so my name is Andrea Wilson. I am the broker over at Brick House Realty, and this is how to leverage your real estate license as being a real estate investor. So I'm going to share my screen, PowerPoint. 1 second. This doesn't want to show up. All right, here we go. All right, so you guys should all see my screen. Please let me know in the chat if you do not see it, but we should be good to go here. So today's class, again, it is how to leverage a real estate license as an investor, answering all your questions. This kind of comes up, I get asked all the time about, do I need my real estate license to invest in real estate? So I wanted to do this class to kind of talk about that and some of the pros and cons of having your license. And maybe it's for you, or maybe it's not for you. Hopefully at the end of this class, you'll determine if it's something that you want to move forward with, or if it's something that you want to think about. So the beginning of this, I'm going to talk about the process of getting your real estate license. So on this picture here, that's me. I am the broker here at Brick House Realty and co-owner with my husband, Mark Wilson. If this is your first time joining me, well, welcome. Thank you for joining in today. So who is Brick House Realty? We're the fastest growing minority-owned real estate brokerage right here in Ohio. So diving into what the state requires to get your real estate license. So the state of Ohio requires 120 classroom hours for pre-licensing courses that will cover 40 hours of real estate principles and practice. And then you have 40 hours of Ohio real estate law, including civil rights, housing discrimination, and desegregation problems. 20 hours is made up the appraisal, and then another 20 hours is broken into the finance class. So it doesn't matter where you go to take the test. This is the state of Ohio requirements. The only difference that you'll experience is from different schools, they may have, they may drag this 120 hours out into 6 months or 3 months or over a month's time. So that on your end, you will have to decide your availability to get through the classes and what makes the most sense for you. So license qualification process, you must be at least 18 years of age, be a United States citizen or legal alien, be honest, truthful, and of good reputation, not have been convicted of a felony or a crime of moral turpitude, not have violated any civil rights laws regarding real estate within the past 2 years as determined by a court of law, or violated any rules of the Ohio Division of Real Estate. 5, have a high school diploma or equivalent. 6, completed the education requirements. 7, pay the applicable fees. And then 8 is pass the exam. So one of the questions that I get asked often is about if you can have that felony. Is it a absolute no? What I will say is I have seen them issue license for something that may fall under here. Usually the stuff that they frown upon is when it's have anything to do with money, or like they're saying, any civil rights kind of violations in here. But say that situation happened 20 years ago, right? And you're in a different place. You might have been young then, different place. We can go ahead and apply for it. And then they may deny it, but then you can go through an appeal process, which may require for you to go to Columbus, because that's where the Division of Real Estate is located, down in Columbus, Ohio. It may require to you be present in person, but I have seen people get approved by going through that method. So you don't rule it out if there is some situation that's out there. So just about the test is 120 multiple choice questions, 80 questions on the national portion, 60 correct required to pass, 40 questions on the state specific portion with 30 correct required to pass. So the test is done in two parts. If you fail one section, then you only have to go back and take that section that you failed. You are able to take the test as many times as you would like. There's no restrictions on that. When you take the classes, those 120 hours broken into those 4 classes, you will receive 4 certificates in the end. Those certificates are going to be good for 10 years. So if you take the class, you have your certificate, you have 10 years to sit for your exam on there. Now, you don't want to wait that long, but you have 10 years that you can sit for the exam. And then this is how it's broken down for the test. Now, anyone that passes the test, anyone that wants to be a real estate agent has to work under a real estate broker or a real estate brokerage. So in order to even sit for your exam, you have to have a broker kind of sponsor you. You complete an application together, and then that application is mailed into the state. There is a $81 application fee that you have to pay for that. And then each time, if you were to fail, you would have to send in the $80 again. So all real estate agents starting out have to work under a broker in order to get their license. In order to become a broker, you have to have so many transactions. You have to have been in the business for at least 2 years. And then there's a few other course requirements that you have to have. So I like to talk about this, especially to the folks that are really getting into this because you want to invest in real estate. If you're saying that you want to invest in real estate, and getting your license, then to me, you're saying that that is probably the primary and maybe the only reason that you're considering having your license, because you want to avoid any fees or anything that's associated with having your license, right? So the cost of being a realtor, this is a big factor that you want to look at when you're deciding, do I get my license or do I not need my license? So there's an investment that has to be made. The agent fees, so the classes, you're going to have that initial investment of taking the classes. Classes cost anywhere between $1,000 to $1,800. The reason why it varies because depending on which school you choose, some schools are a little bit more expensive, and what package you choose. Some of the schools have obviously the 120-hour class courses, but then they have like exam prep and different vocabulary cards and other things that you can add on. So anywhere between $1,000 to $1,800 to take the classes. So that's your initial investment. I did not include on here to take the test. The test is $81 to take the test. That goes to the state. And then there's another like $41 that goes to the testing facility that administers the test. So if you fail the test, you end up having to pay that $81 and that $41 full amount, even if you just have to take half, over and over again. So it's important that if you go the route of taking the classes and sitting for the exam, that you take the time and study, because you do not want to get in a situation where you keep paying this $81 and the testing facility, and then you're just blowing away more money. So once you become licensed, we pay annual dues, just like any other trade organization. If you know any plumbers out there, any electricians out there, they typically are part of a trade organization to hold and maintain that license. As realtors, we are also part of a trade organization as well. That organization is National Association of Realtors. That National Association of Realtors have local boards. Our local board that our brokerage belongs to is called ACAR, Akron Cleveland Association of Realtors. That's the local board. So every January as a realtor, we have to pay $650 every January without fail. If you sell a house or you don't sell a house, $650. If you don't pay the $650, then you will have to send your license back to the state, and it sits kind of like on deposit, is a term that they call that. So the other thing that we have to pay is our MLS dues. So the NAR dues, that's above the 650, that is for like our trade organization. And that's what gets us access to the MLS. If you don't belong to the board, then you can't get access to the MLS. They kind of work together. So the MLS dues is about $480 for the year. We actually pay that twice a year. We pay about $240 in February of every year, and then we pay another $240 right around September 1st. And this is for Ohio. If you are in a different state, thinking about relocating to another state, then the classes may be at a different price, the annual dues may be at a different price. All of this could be very different because every state has their own set of guidelines, whereas Ohio's 120 classroom hours. Places like Michigan, I believe it's like 30 hours. It's not as many hours, but then you have other states. There's a couple states that have more hours than we require here. So you want to check with your state to see how much you have to pay. If you're thinking about relocating somewhere else, then Ohio does not have reciprocity with anywhere you probably want to move to, anywhere that would be logical and make sense. Well, what makes sense to me is that there would be reciprocity between Ohio and Michigan, Ohio and Pennsylvania, or somewhere around that, and there's not. So if you're thinking about moving, you would have to get your license in that state as well and go through their licensing process. So just something to think about. I know people are always talking about relocating, getting out of Cleveland or whatever. So MLS dues, the $480 for the year. So then we have these next numbers are going to vary because it's going to be based on the brokerage that you go with. So I didn't want to be kind of just totally biased and about what we do here at Brick House Realty. So I was more so general on this. So I put admin fees as an annual $600. And what I meant by admin fees is you're going to need maybe a little bit of technology. We use a system called dotloop, for example. So dotloop is an electronic signing platform. If you are familiar with DocuSign, it's the same thing as like DocuSign, but it's more geared towards real estate. Well, we pay for that. That's something that you're going to want to have because it makes life so much easier. So whether you get DocuSign or you go with dotloop or HelloSign or whatever other product that's out there, there's some fees that's associated with that. So the dotloop is about $31 per month is what you pay for that. So you may have to print some paperwork, right? So there's printing costs that may be associated with that. Maybe you wanted your own website. So now you're paying a fee for that domain name that you want. So I have it at about $600 per year for your admin fees, is what you can kind of expect. And that is being that's on the low end. It just depends on how much business you're actually doing, but there's a cost associated. So getting your real estate license, it's like starting a business. And depending on what capacity that you want to move in, will require some additional services that could increase these admin fees. You get into, so to give you an example, when I initially got licensed or thought about getting licensed, it was heavy to focus on investing in real estate. Once I got my license and started to get my feet wet, I noticed that I like working with just the public and helping them buy and sell homes and educate them. So it shifted a little bit for me, not abandoning the investment side because I did that all along, still do that, but also on now the agent side as well. So I do both, and now a brokerage owner. So then we have just your office fees. Now at Brickhouse Realty, we don't have any office fees, but many of the offices will have office fees. I would say that average is about $80 per month is what you pay. So I use that as an example here of about $960 a year is what you would be paying. So these are all things that go into, does it make sense for you to get your license if you're thinking about investing in real estate? And so what type of investor do you plan on doing one deal a year to invest, or do you plan on doing more high volume of investments? And that may play a factor into your decision. So some of those benefits of being a realtor is going to be flexible schedule, unlimited earning potential, joy and satisfaction that come with helping people, you in control of your own destiny. I just wanted to share this because just like I said a couple minutes ago, when I got licensed, it was for the purpose of investing in real estate. And although it's not required to invest, I have always been a type of person that I didn't want any barriers to entry on something that I wanted to do. Personally, I felt like having my license will allow me to learn the business of real estate a lot smoother or easier than taking someone else's word for it. And for me, the requirements to get my real estate license is not like earning a 4-year degree. You go to school, maybe it takes you, 2 to 3 months to finish the classes and you take a test. For me, that was like a small piece of it. And I didn't mind taking those steps in that measure to be able to have my license to gain the knowledge that I felt that I needed. Having your license is not for everyone, but once I got my license and I started talking to people, and initially it's like it's for personal use, but then you're talking to people and they don't know how to get started, like just buying a house. And so then I found a lane or an avenue there that I enjoy doing. It was just educating people about the home buying process. So it led to a lot more. So I leave this portion of the slide in here because that may be something that you discover, is that when you get in there, you start working with people, you may want to kind of expand out into, a role of helping traditional buyers and sellers and invest in real estate, or maybe teach other people how to invest in real estate. So connecting the dots, like how does this all work? Why does it make sense for me to have my real estate license and invest in real estate? So here's the way I'm helping you connect the dots of how it all works, right? So the thing about it is, and calling this like leveraging having your real estate license, how it works is properties go on the MLS. We look at properties on market and off market, and there's shifts in the market. Sometimes the inventory on the MLS or on the real estate market, public market, is really high. Other times it's low. It shifts in everything of where you find information and what's going on in the market. But one of the benefits is going to be access to market data and inventory in real time. So a property comes on the market, it's a hot buy, something you're interested in investing in. If you can set yourself up on a search for a particular neighborhood, a particular price point, or anything like that. And then from there, you're able to go schedule that property first, but get in there before anyone else sees that property to help make your decision around that. You also have access to the multiple listing service. So you're not waiting for your agent to get back to you to give you access to the property, to the MLS, or any of that. You can go in and do all of the work yourself. It also helps build credibility when you're talking to other folks in the marketplace. And then it creates networking opportunities. So I mentioned that I invest in real estate. Well, some of the deals that we've done in the past came from me having my real estate license. It may have started out as a conversation about listing their house, or just a general conversation about real estate that I wouldn't normally have but because I was a realtor, I went in talking about services with my realtor hat on, but it turned out to be a good deal for me. It has also allowed me professionally to walk into various businesses and other entities that have the conversation with my realtor hat on, that has afforded additional opportunities to access to properties that are not on a site for public viewing, right? So it allowed me to create relationships that ordinarily I would not be able to have, but because I wear the hat of a realtor, I was able to go in and have a different conversation with those individuals, identify something that worked for me, or a potential opportunity for myself, and was able to win those opportunities. You become knowledgeable. One of the things that I have noticed when working with potential investors is the lack of knowledge. You don't know what you don't know. You're just getting started. If you've never invested in real estate before, you may be lacking the capital to invest in real estate. So in the meantime, it's not a matter of do nothing. Having your real estate license, if you can't invest right now, you can potentially work with other investors in the marketplace, and through their efforts, you can kind of learn the business and become more knowledgeable and avoid some of the mistakes that you've seen some of those investors do. And you allow them to make the mistakes, but it's going to help teach you what not to do. So you definitely become more knowledgeable about the business, about pricing, about construction work that goes into the property, about what updates should be made to the property, what updates are not needed on the property. So it kind of gives you that full range. The other thing when we talk about the networking opportunities, I did not mention, I also have found private lenders just from having my real estate license as well. We found private lenders to work with partners on deals, just from those networking opportunities, from initially having that realtor hat on, and then further conversation, it turned into some great relationships that allowed us to, do more projects. Maybe we were working on one or two, but now it allowed us to expand out and do more projects. So I talked about this next one a little bit earlier. Oh, no, wait a minute, skip one, commissions. Also, you earn commission. So if you're buying a property for yourself, you earn that commission just like in any other sales transaction. So instead of your realtor getting that commission, you earn that commission on that deal. And then when you're selling your property, you also save on those commissions on what you have to pay out, because now you become the listing agent. So now you don't have to worry about paying a listing agent and a buying agent, because if you're unaware, in a real estate transaction, the seller pays the commissions for both the buyer and seller's portion of it. So you just wiped away one person out of the transaction. You still get your property in the MLS, you get full marketing capabilities on there, and then you still only have to pay out maybe half of that commission, or by it having an MLS, you may get the call and can sell it 100% yourself. So the other thing is kind of touched on, you can place bids on your own properties. So you're not sitting back wondering or waiting for your paperwork to come over from your real estate agent. You're not waiting for you're an early riser and you're waiting for 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or whatever time your real estate agent happens to wake up or call you back before you can put an offer in on the property. By 5 a.m., you could have wrote up that offer, signed the documents, submitted that offer in. By 8 a.m., you could have gone over to the property, taken the tour on that property yourself, and then decided to go back to your office and write an offer on the property. It removes the middleman out of the transaction and gets straight to the chase on there, because you have full access and you're never second guessing, like, did they really submit that? Or when they come back and tell you like, oh, it's already gone, and you're still not feeling confident that they did everything in their power to submit it. They could have, but sometimes there's definitely been cases where you kind of question that. So sell the deals you don't take to another investor. As a real estate investor, there's going to be deals that come up, and I wish I had all of the money in the world, but I don't. So, and I really kind of move in a model of there's always another one. There's always opportunities. It doesn't matter what the market is. It may take a little bit longer to find an opportunity, but real estate is going to be real estate, and it's always going to be a good time to buy or invest in real estate. Now, it may have been a little sweeter, back in 2007, 2008, 2009, because the market had crashed, but there's still going to be opportunities today. And so what I'm saying is I kind of live by the model of there'll be another deal tomorrow. So if I have a buyer on the line today that's willing to or wants that offer, then I may pass it off to them. Or you can take that deal, but then when another deal comes up tomorrow, the next day, and that that's a good deal, but maybe you have too much on your plate, you can now sell that off to another investor. And who's better to explain what a great deal it is, but from one investor to another investor? Because now you've been through this process, you've built some credibility in this business, you've been networking, you understand the process, you understand the market, your comps, you've been around the construction piece of it for so long, you've witnessed and saw the mistakes that other investors have made. So now you are in prime position to teach others to invest in real estate and to sell those properties to those other potential investors in the marketplace. And so now you're making money from selling on those deals, and you're making money from the deals when you fix and flip, because you guys do know that when you do fix and flips in a marketplace, that is not your paycheck. That is a mistake that many investors make, is using that money from your fix and flip project as your paycheck, because that project took 3 months, 4 months, 6 months to do, and you haven't made any money. People make the mistake of spending that money. That money is your re-up money. You should be using that to roll into your next project, a portion of that saving, so that you can, for every 3-4 properties that you flip, you're going to buy one rental property on there. I know I'm kind of pushing through this. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask those questions. You can type it in the chat and I will answer those questions. So we talked about all of the positive things to having your real estate license. So it wouldn't be fair if I didn't talk about some of the pitfalls of having your license. It may not be a pitfall at all. You have to understand. I see your question, your hand. Give me 1 second. It may not be a pitfall at all, but it would be unfair for me to not go over some of the things that you should think about in this transaction as well. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry about that. Trying to find, I can't see you. Wait a minute. All right, Antoinette, you should be allowed to talk now, if you want to ask your question.
Hi, Ms. Wilson. No question. I just wanted to let you know that the chat is disabled right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Wait a minute. Let me see if I could change that. There we go. It should be working. Thank you, guys. So I apologize for that. If you wanted to ask a question, the chat is now working, so you should be able to type in the chat. So some of those cons of having your license is, number one, first and foremost, you're going to be held to a higher standard. So the option of saying, well, I didn't know, really doesn't exist when you hold a professional license in anything. So that higher standard, meaning that, like right now in Cleveland, there is a lead ordinance kind of going on. So as real estate agents, we need to know about this, and we need to have buyers and tenants sign a lead disclosure. So when you don't have your clients sign a lead disclosure, yet your tenants a lead disclosure, you're held to a higher standard. So the idea of I didn't know is not an option. So the licensing requirements is a downfall as well. 120 hours. So most of the classes, how they run, the 120 hours are typically, if you're doing it like if you're working a full-time job and say you were going for evening classes or whatever. So on average, it takes people about 3 months to get through the material. That's doing about 10 to 15 hours per week. So 3 months. Now, if you're not working during the day, there is an option that you can take the classes like Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. And I think that is either 2 weeks or it might be 3 weeks session to get through that class. So the licensing requirements could be a barrier for you because, you have to go through this long process. The time commitment for your license, if it's 3 months, now you're going to have to work through this for 3 months or so before you can get your license. So do you have the time commitment to this? Disclosure. So now moving forward, once you're licensed and you're selling a property, buying a property, as real estate agents, we have to disclose that to that seller or to that buyer. It is just believed that the end person that we're buying or selling from has a disadvantage because they are not licensed. So we are believed to know more, which we should. So we have to then disclose that. So if you didn't want that individual to necessarily know, then that could be a problem. I will say though, some people would think like disclosing, like if you're buying a property, disclosing it, they may want to raise the price. I've been doing it a long time, and it really hasn't been an issue at all. It never came back like you want more. Now, the only thing that someone has tried to do, I haven't seen it lately, where they'll say, so like I said before, you can earn a commission on there. I have seen someone say, well, since you're an agent, I don't want to pay the commission out on there. So that's how they feel about it. That's kind of the most I have. That doesn't happen all the time. It has come up. And for me, you could argue the facts. You could walk away and say, well, no, I don't want the deal. Or you could just move forward. If your numbers are right, move forward without getting commission on there. And then you have a responsibility to stay educated. So like I just mentioned about there being a lead ordinance, that's something that we need to know about as real estate agents so that we are staying informed and educated in this process. So the other thing is, once you have your license, we have to complete continuing education. Every 3 years, we're required to do 30 hours of continuing education. Now, you could do all 30 hours in that final year, week before your renewal is due. That's all on you. But we are required to do 30 years of continuing education every 3 years. When you first pass your test, though, that first year, you're required to do additional 20 hours of continuing education after that first year of getting your license. So that first year, 20 hours, and then moving forward, 30 hours every 3 years on there. So you're going to be held to a higher standard. You're going to be paying those fees because that's a con, right? Does it make sense? If I go back and look at the other slide, the annual cost that we pay to maintain our license. So you have to figure out, if you're truly only getting your license just to invest in real estate, and if you're only going to do one deal a year, then it may not make sense for you to get your license, because by the time you go through all of this, just to save a little bit on the one deal, then you just have the wrong deal. Then that shouldn't be the focus, because you don't want to list with a real estate agent on there and pay that fee. Now, if you're doing multiple deals, lots of deals during the year, then it may it may be beneficial to you. So a lot of the investors that I know, a lot of the wholesalers that I know that do not have a license, they typically have someone close to them that has a license. Wife is licensed, husband is licensed, one of the kids are licensed. So they usually have someone close in their circle. So where I talked about gaining access to the property, they have that same type of access because someone closely related to them or on their team, of their team of people that they're working with have access. So they have a trusted person that they can connect with to get them the answers that they need, and they feel confident that that license works for them. So maybe getting a license is not for you, but maybe it would be good for one of your kids. A lot of you have 18-year-old or older kids. Maybe it's something for one of your kids to get into. So that way, if you're starting to invest, it's a family business, or you want to grow and expand, maybe them having a license, you're the funder, then you have the contractor. You have to decide if paying the money, making the commitment to take the classes is going to be worthwhile. For me, it makes sense, even without selling to traditional buyers, because I like being able to have direct access to the property. I like going to talk to folks with my realtor hat on, but I'm really here to talk about the investment side of the business, or going out to talk to a private lender or a hard money lender to say, hey, I also have my real estate license, and now I can also use all of the clients that I've worked with as an investor as part of my experience when I go to set out to find funding in order to have them help fund the deals, right? Because now I come with a longer list of credentials of when I say, well, I've helped over 100 real estate investors, and I've done this many deals. So my resume looks a lot better when I go out into the public. So for me, that works, but you have to decide if that makes sense for you. So we do have the real estate classes. They're $999. Payment plan are available. So there's a payment plan option of 2 payments or 3 payments of $342. So let me explain the difference. So the classes that we have are 100% online. You can access the material 24 hours a day, but these are self-pay classes. So this is for the person that is disciplined, that will log on every week, that will get your study time, take your test, and complete those 120 hours. If that is you, this is going to be one of the most affordable ways to take the classes. If you are someone that says, well, I need an instructor, then you want to go over to Hondros College. So Hondros College is here locally. They're over in Independence, and they have in-person classes that you can access. Those classes are a little bit more expensive. I think their lowest plan is $1,300 or $1,500, and then they have different tiers as well. Those are in-person classes. They have them during the day. So if you are free during the day, like 9 to 5, you can go, during the week, during the day. They have evening, and they do have weekend classes. Yep, Hondros. That's where I took my classes at, through Hondros. They've been around a long time. Definitely a trusted source. So it's just going to be a matter of if you want to go the self-paced route of what we're showing you here, or what I'm showing you here, or if you want to go through an in-person route. The only thing is Hondros, well, I think now they use Klarna. I think I saw on there as a payment plan option, and I'm not quite sure how that works. So Brick House Realty, if you are thinking about getting your license, hopefully you would interview us to be your brokerage. As I mentioned before, you have to have a broker in order to even sit for your real estate exam. So here at Brick House, we're a family of agents. We have better commission splits. We do monthly and daily training. We teach you how to build your own book of business, personalized growth plan to get you going day one, no monthly fees, and we're absolutely here for you. Okay, so yeah, so the live stream would be cool because then you can be at your own pace. And And because the CE shop, there's no instructor at all. That is just you reading and taking the test. I actually teach for Lakeland College as well, these classes. Lakeland College, you have an instructor, but we don't do live streaming on there. And it's a lot of reading and taking tests and information. But at at Lakeland, it's more class participation in there is how that's kind of set up. But the live streaming will be good, so then you don't have to like go in there. So we're just missing you here. We just have to figure out and decide if this is the right fit for you. How soon should you seek sponsorship from your broker? You can talk to a broker right away and establish a relationship on there. You're definitely going to need one before you can sit for your exam. So you don't want to wait until the last minute. If you want to take a few classes, get a feel for it so you have a better understanding of what questions that you should ask when you go out to a broker. If you know where you're going already, then you don't want to really complete that application until you finish your classes on there. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer those questions for you. Thank you for joining me today. If you're not already following me, you can follow me on Instagram at she's_a brickhouse. Actually, I got to change this. He's not Meet Mogul Mark anymore. It's Brickhouse Mark on there. We are on Facebook as well. So I just want to be able to see you guys. So that's pretty much it, just in a nutshell. I know people are always asking, thank you. People are always asking about getting started investing in real estate. So I just wanted to answer those questions for you. Hopefully this answered all of your questions of how you can use that and if it makes sense and kind of like how I use it. The biggest thing is knowledge base around it. I feel like, maybe when an agent is not necessarily in a position to get started investing in real estate, you can absolutely start working with investors. And I have learned so much from working with investors. And I'm going to give you guys one quick story before we get out of here. I have learned so much about working with investors at different levels, right? There's levels to this. You have the investor that doesn't have a lot of money, and they're kind of dibbling and dabbling, and they want to buy the little hood property for like $5,000 and barely put anything in it and expect to, make huge profits off of it. But then you have the large investors that buy portfolios of properties or real strategies behind it. So to kind of give you an example of this, and before I let you go this evening, I had worked with a client that was living in China. He was French, actually, but he was a high-ranking executive for a company that had him based in China for 5 years. Him and his wife had twin daughters, and so I got connected to this investor. From, and I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna stop the recording on this part.